How's it going, guys? So if you live in the UK and don't live under a rock, you'll have noticed that over the past few weeks we've had some absolutely terrible weather. First of all, we had Storm Babet, which was absolutely catastrophic, especially towards the north of the UK. And then over the past few days we've had Storm Ciaran, which here in Walton On The Naze brought 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. What I'm going to be doing today is combining my two favourite videos. I'm going to go beachcombing as well as fossil and shark teeth hunting, like I said, down here at Walton On The Naze. I'm hoping that some of that awful weather has brought in some really cool stuff or has washed up some really cool fossils. So come along with me, let's see what we can find. My name's Adam and welcome to Naturescope. Firstly, a brief introduction into the two things I'm going to be doing today. If you've never heard of it before, Walton On The Naze is one of the premium places in the UK to find shark's teeth and other fossils. Some of the things that get found here: mammoth bones and mammoth teeth, megalodon teeth, which is the largest shark that ever swam in our oceans, and whale bones from like all across their body. There's some absolutely insane stuff that's been found here over the years. And also I'm going to be beachcombing. This is really simple. What I do is I walk along the Strandline, which is the point of the last highest tide, so like the highest point it reached, and you can see this by the line of seaweed that sort of runs along the beach. And I'm going to see what cool stuff got washed up in that tide. It's usually the best place to find cool sea creatures or just really rare marine life. So let's get looking. The first place I'm going to be looking is at this huge gravel patch at the very bottom of the stairs. This is my favourite place to look for shark's teeth on the beach, but we can also see this line of seaweed. The sea has clearly been quite high and pushing stuff up and deposited absolutely loads of stuff. So let's see what we can find. During that time lapse there, I found shark tooth number one of the day. If you've never seen a shark's tooth before, this is what they look like. This is likely a sand tiger shark tooth. So you can see at the very top there by my thumb, there's like a cartilaginous bit, I call it. It has a proper fancy name, but just imagine that's sort of the bit that goes into the gum, and then the rest of it is the tooth itself. It would obviously be a lot sharper than this. This one is either broken off or worn down over time. They're sort of 50 million years old, so you kind of expect that. Not every single one is in perfect condition, but it's got us off the mark. Shark tooth number one. Also during that, I managed to beachcomb a few other really cool bits. The top left, there's a blue mussel shell. I spoke about these in a previous video, but they basically bed off the coast. They're really important habitat for juvenile fish, but they also filtrate the water, so they take out a lot of the really bad stuff. At the bottom we have a lobster claw, and the reason I think it's a lobster claw is because of the blue colour on it. That's really similar to the European lobster. I'll throw a picture of that on screen now. We also found this shell. Now there's loads of these on the beach. I'll zoom on this a bit closer. It's absolutely beautiful. There's loads of these absolutely amazing iridescent sort of colours that shine throughout it. The only way I can describe it, if the camera doesn't pick it up well, is when there's like a petrol spill and you can see all the different colours sort of on the surface of the water. Just an FYI, I'm about to film a dead animal, so if you're a little bit squeamish, I'll leave a timestamp on the screen now, and that's where you can skip to and it won't be mentioned or shown again. So 3, 2, 1. I found the, I guess, skeleton remains of an animal. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's some sort of ray. And the reason I say that is because it's got spines coming out of what would be the tail, and the eyes are on the very top of it. But this has been completely picked apart. I'd imagine this was fished and then killed. They gutted it and took the wings, which are the edible bit of a ray, and then threw the rest back in, and the sort of crabs and other fish have picked apart what was left, which has left this skeleton. I've never seen it like this. It's really interesting. My other inkling was it could be a dogfish, but I'm not too sure without actually seeing the skin, but I'm pretty sure in saying that it was a ray. The sun is finally starting to shine here, but I've just found an absolutely massive shark's tooth. Only the very tips of these were sticking out of the sand. Now if you couldn't imagine what a full tooth looked like earlier, then this is probably as good as it gets, especially for sand tiger shark teeth. This tooth, for context, is probably about an inch long. It's still incredibly sharp after all these years. Let me just show you the tip of it properly. Incredibly sharp. And you can see just about here, there's a tiny little spike there. The other one's slightly eroded, so these will be for like extra grip as it sort of bites down onto its prey. but in terms of some tiger shark teeth, I personally haven't found many in good condition and much bigger than that. Really, really happy with this one. So if you don't know what these are called mermaid's purses, and they're shark and ray egg cases. So what the sharks and rays will do is they'll lay the egg, and then these two little bits that are sticking out here will get attached to something. Could be a pointy rock, it could be seaweed, which is what it usually is. Then the shark or the ray egg will be inside there, and it'll grow, and eventually, once it's big enough and sort of mature enough, it'll force its way through there. Now you can tell pretty much straight away if the egg is still in it. It's usually a lot heavier, this is quite light. And if you shine your phone light through it, you'll be able to see either straight through or if the egg's blocking it. It's very rare that you do find one with the egg still in it. So this one hopefully hatched before the casing got washed in. I've now found something alive. I have not a clue what it is. So I'm using a little stick to turn it over. Just check that's a shark tooth. I'm just using a little stick to turn it over because I don't want to damage it or myself. But it's this thing here. It's like a little slug, and it's still alive. You can see it like moving and reacting as I touch it. I'm going to put it back in the sea, but I've not a clue what this is. Just before I throw this back in the sea, let's get a bit of a closer look at it. So it's got almost like yellowy green colours throughout it, and it's covered in hairs. And they're clearly the little arms it uses to move around or dig with. Absolutely obscure. I'm going to use this little tiny tide pool here to drop it back in. Hopefully that survives. Hello, it's me from slightly in the future. So after I filmed those little bits you saw there, I took a photo and another video and I sent it to the Naturescope group chat just to see if the other boys knew what it was, and they did. They came back and Ben said it was a sea mouse and Callum said it was a scale worm, which are the same thing, just different names. I'd never seen one before, but it's incredibly bizarre, and now I know what it is, I can talk a little bit more about it. It's basically a worm, a flat worm, sort of, I guess like a slug, but it's classed as a worm. And what it does is it eats small crustaceans and small sort of sea snails, stuff like that. And that's how it lives. And usually, it says on the Wildlife Trust website, which I'll leave a link in the description below, that they're found commonly after storms. I've never seen one before. I've heard the name, but like I said, never visualised it. But what a weird sort of creature. That's why I love coming out beachcombing, especially after a storm, because you get a small little glimpse of underneath the waves. I'd have never have seen that probably ever if I hadn't have come out today. So if you ever do get the chance on a calm day after a storm to come out and have a look, you might see something really unique. I haven't even been on the beach for 15 minutes yet, and I've found absolutely loads. Things in the Strandline as well as shark's teeth, so it's looking like it's going to be a good day and we'll find some even more interesting stuff. Shark tooth number 3, another one in really good condition. I just found it sort of having a tiny little rummage on the surface of the gravel patches here. I'm on the main fossil beach now at the Naze, and for those of you who haven't watched the videos before, these cliffs here that you can see are like eroding away are where all of the shark's teeth and all of the fossils come from. So as the tide comes in and goes out, the fossils get released and washed up all over the beach, which is pretty cool for us, but obviously the cliffs are going at a rapid rate. I feel like I mention this in every fossil hunting video, but some of the guys who are here for the beachcombing side of things might find it interesting. What I'm holding now is called pyritized wood, and effectively what it is fossilized wood from millions and millions of years ago. So you can see it has the appearance of wood, you can see the grains in it, almost the rings if you get it at the right angle. But when you smack it together, you can hear that it's actually more like a stone, and it's incredibly heavy and really dense. Now what this is, as the layers of cliff have built up over millions and millions of years, wood has got trapped in it as trees have died or as the tides brought it in, and it's been crushed and it's become this really hard, really dense substance. It's very cool, and it's scattered absolutely everywhere along the Naze beach. Unlucky, someone's gone home with one shoe. I haven't had too much luck in terms of shark teeth as I've been walking along the main beach, but I've really just been sort of looking in the Strandline, seeing what I can find, seeing all of the cool things that have been washed up. But I found this sort of old train track that's either been washed up or or come off of the old tracks from the top of the cliff, and it's acted as a bit of a trap for gravel and shingle. So I'm going to sit down and have a proper rummage through this. It's already paying off after a few seconds. This one is a slightly different shape and a lot smaller to the ones we've found already, but it's probably in the best condition, and it's also easily the sharpest. It's now time for an episode of everyone's favourite game, Can You Spot the Shark's Tooth? Somewhere on this screen there is at least one shark's tooth hidden. There may be more, but I definitely know of one. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to try and find it. Good luck. How did you get on? I thought this one was quite tricky. It's right here. It's one of the ones we found earlier. This is by far the biggest fossilised shell I've ever found. It's the size of my hand. Now you can tell these are fossilised by the colour. They're like an orange tint. And if you look at the cliffs, it might be a bit more obvious over there if the sun's not blocking it, or over there. The cliffs are orange. So these are shells that got trapped in the cliffs over many years and took on that sort of orangey colour. But this is absolutely huge. I'm keeping this one. So I've turned back now, heading back to the start of the beach. I never seem to have much luck on the main fossil beach. The Strandline hasn't been as good here either, so I'm going to head back to the start and see what else we can find. A huge tangled mess of fishing wire and netting has come in. This is the stuff you really don't want in the sea. People think that like plastic bottles and, you know, straws are the things that really pollute our oceans and cause issues, but the real truth of it is it's these things, netting. It's so easy for stuff to get caught up in it, get stuck, and it can't really get back out. Fish need to swim to be able to breathe, to be able to utilise the gills. If they can't swim, they get stuck in this, and it's sort of game over. It's a good job that this is now washed up, and it will be collected at some point. But this is the stuff we really don't want to see in our oceans. I would try and move it myself, but it's just too heavy. I've just tried. I can't see with the calmer weather it going anywhere, so hopefully it should be okay where it is. Another really bizarre live find. This is an anemone that's off the rock. You don't usually find them off the rock. I've put it back in the water. It was literally just on the sand there. I'm not 100% what sort of an anemone it is, but usually around here we get sort of strawberry anemones, beadlet anemones, but it seems to have lost a lot of its colour. You can see the tentacles almost poking out there. Another really strange find. So that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully this blend of fossil hunting and beachcombing has worked. They're quite similar, so I hope it has. If you enjoyed the video, leave us a like. It really helps us out. Have you been out after the past 2 storms? What's the coolest thing you found washed up? Comment down below, and subscribe to Naturescope to not miss any more future videos. We've got plenty coming throughout the rest of this year and next year. Cheers again, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.